So you did your first trip. Was it a good confidence booster for you, even to do something as the nursery trip, as you call it?
Yes, it's just to give us confidence
Mm-hmm.
of the procedure for departing and leaving.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't say now we're at the coast, we're leaving.
Mm-hmm.
It was all done visually.
Yeah.
And we'd turn our nav lights off
Mm-hmm.
going out and have no lights.
Mm-hmm.
So then coming back is like normal night flying procedures with you call in and then you're down and you got dispersal shutting down. Roger, good night, old boy.
Mm-hmm.
Then we go and sign in at the flight shack and so forth.
They go to
And
service
then the
mess.
girl would come around with the 1500 weight, and of course we'd be at the back of the airplane relieving ourselves on the tail wheel, and sometimes get caught with her headlights. She'd drive us back to our lockers.
So now you're on operations, and you said earlier you did your first tour, 35 missions in 11 weeks. So the 11 operational tempo. This would have been what, late 44 at this point?
That was.
Or no, were you late 43?
No, it was. We started on the 12th of July, 44. We finished 50 trips by the time it was before Christmas.
We're talking about the operational tempo. So the invasion was on.
Yes.
Just to set the stage. So July, you started your operation. July 44. So just over a month after D-Day.
That's right.
And you started your operational tour, your first operational tour. Well, I guess your only one. And basically, so you started in July. So by like October, you had finished your 35 trips.
Oh yes.
That's amazing. So
well, actually, I know the date that I finished it. That would be, I would say we had finished by December the 3rd or 4th or something. Like
okay.
That. Yeah.
Okay. I finished all 50?
Everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So less than 6 months you did 50 missions.
And at the end of that, they wrote it. I don't have the page before it, but this is the assessment thing at the end of the operational flight in middle of January 45. That was written. But I still hadn't got the trip back to home. Still waiting for a posting to get posted back to Canada.
So typical British vernacular, a very sound operational pilot.
Yes.
You were a very sound operational pilot. Flew 50 missions over Germany, shot up a couple of German airfields, dropped some bombs. You were sound. And you were above average. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
But we got about 15 trains as well.
Yeah, 15 trains. Okay, so let's talk about your operations a little bit, because I'm sure that's kind of the meat of the thing. So you began a very high operational tempo during basically the invasion. So I'm sure there was a lot going on. Were you only flying at night? Or would you fly during the day?
We did day trips too.
Okay.
Bud Badley and I wanted to do a day ranger.
Mm-hmm.
You could do your own trip.
Oh, really? You just
yeah. So we said, well, we'd like to go and do a day trip, and we'd like to maybe go up to Grove Aerodrome in Denmark. So I led it, two of us, up to Grove Aerodrome in Denmark. And on the way up to Denmark, that was right across the entire North Sea, and it was daylight. We reached the coast, and we got a camera gun shot of the a house going in. Then we got a Ju-88 sitting on the ground, which you can see being damaged.
Yeah.
And on the way out, I damaged a Freya. The Freya shot back, and a bullet came through, past my navigator shoulder, into the base of the starboard feathering button, and we went into cloud. Bud Badley got shot to hell.
Really?
And I never saw him again.
Oh, no. So the Freya, that's a radar site?
Yeah, Freya.
Okay.
Yeah. What had happened was he lost his rudder control and elevator control, and he came back on the trims, and he made it.
Oh, he did? Oh, thank God.
He also had an accident in Canada where he had done something totally impossible in a Cessna crane. And he had to run back and forth in the fuselage to the back door back to go up or down.
Oh my.
And he landed, go back to pull the throttle and run back. And he landed that airplane. And
wow.
He's written up in the annals. This guy,
Yeah,
he was always coming back on one engine.
Jeez.
There's the 50th trip on the 12th of December.
So do you have copies of this? Like, could I take
These
this?
are for you.
Okay, perfect. Because what I'll do is I'll scan these and I'll put them in the video so people can see this instead of me just staring at it.
Well, there's a right-hand page and a left-hand page. You don't need the right-hand page because it's just the times.
Oh, I see.
But
yeah.
you can see.
You can definitely see your comments.
But here I've got here are the numbers of the trip and so forth.
I got you, like a 40th, etc. Okay, so what would the average mission look like? Like, you're a night intruder squadron, so like you would go and circle over German night fighter.
Okay, we were a bomber support squadron.
Okay.
Not necessarily always night intruder. They thought they'd like to try some daylight escort. So we escorted 260 Lancasters to Bordeaux.
Okay.
So the two squadrons, daylight.
Mm-hmm.
So some son of a gun stole my parachute. And I'm running around trying to find a bloody parachute. I get off about half an hour later. And I went right on the ground, right at ground level, right across the Brest Peninsula and climbed up to meet the bomber stream to arrive there before anybody else. And I escorted them all the way to Bordeaux.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no flag.
Nothing.
But they came through finally, and we went back to Winkley, landed there, and we did it again the next day, and then went back to our squadron. So that was different. But going to the other one, to Grove Aerodrome in Denmark, it was also a good navigation thing for us to go without sat-nav or anything and know, gee, it would reach that far, to hit a coast up there and try to find the aerodrome. I'm looking for the aerodrome. All of a sudden, I look over, I see a guy pulling a camouflage over an airplane's wing. I was in the middle of the aerodrome, and George, and I climbed up. I saw this 88 in the distance. I climbed up, but I said, "George, watch your cover." And I said, "Okay." And I just got up enough so I gave him a good squirt. So somebody run off to the right and damaged the JU-88.
That was the picture there. So.
Yeah.
So,
and
were they shooting at you this time, or were they just trying to see?
Well, they weren't shooting at me, but we got them by surprise. We were in the middle of the aerodrome before they even knew we were there. We came in at knot feet. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, I shot a picture of the house on the way in.
Yeah, I see that.
And that was just so gentle. You see, at the nose of the airplane, there is you can see a camera gun hole.
Okay.
Where you get the beautiful shots.
A bit further back from it. So could you just turn the camera on?
We don't turn the camera. It goes
Only
automatically with your guns. Now the machine guns are like this, not like this. The cannons were like this.
How many of each did you have?
Four 20 millimeter cannon at the bottom, 4 303 machine guns on the top.
Okay.
So for us, that was quite a lot of firepower. And if we didn't carry long-range tanks, extra long-range tanks, we carried 2 500-pound bombs.
Okay.
We had drop tanks, and we carried 50 or 100-gallon drop tanks. Now, the drop tank could not feed to the other engine. They could only feed the nearest engine. So, because they fed into the outers. So, what did you do? You use your outer tanks first. And then when they signal dry, that means you got the main supply. We had 515 gallons of gas. We had 716 with the drop tanks, 100-gallon drop tanks. And it was a great arrangement, but you had to, the use of the fuel was something. The other thing that I wasn't used to doing was pulling the RPMs below the normal flying range. We flew 2350 RPMs and plus 4 pounds or 3 pounds or whatever. We had to pull it down to about 16 or 1700 RPMs.
Yeah.
And we were hanging in the air at 10,000 feet doing 210 miles an hour, which is pretty good. But it gave us a range of 15 to 1700 air miles.
Okay.
And it's 7.2 air miles per gallon, would it be? Something like that.
So that's if you're going long distance.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we did it for a range. But what it meant was that with that kind of, with the lead and those, in that fuel, you had to open it up and clear the lead out every half hour or more, and make sure that the spark plugs wouldn't be all messed up.
Wouldn't foul, yeah.
So that's what we do. So we would land there with enough gas. There were no alternates because there's quite a way down to Rabat. But if you're going to go to Rabat, you make the decision early, and down you go. So that way, now the Spitfires had a similar problem, except they didn't have the range. They climbed to 40,000 feet, and they glided till they got down to about 6,000 feet or whatever.
Okay.
Then they climbed back up and glide. And that's how they got there.
Really?
Really.
Wow.
And I had to admire them. Can you imagine doing that, gliding, knowing that you don't have enough fuel to get there, but you'd have enough fuel doing it this way so that you would land comfortably at Gibraltar.
Wow.
But then if Gibraltar was socked in, that could be a problem.
That could be a problem.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we get back to your the operational tempo here. So this is like, I'm looking at your mission list here. It's like 12 July, your freshman sortie, 14 July, 20 July, 2 trips on 20 July, 21 July, 23. So you're flying every couple days.
I flew, you'd fly 2 days off and a day off.
Mm-hmm.
I flew 3 days on.
Mm-hmm.
I flew as often as I could.
Yeah.
That way we did 35 trips in 11 weeks.
Yeah.
So then I went to Group Captain Sammy Hoare and said, "Sir, we've just finished our 35 trips. We have a commitment of 2 tours in our Air Force, and we'd like to sort of polish off the other trips. It's only 25 or more trips, and we'd like to do that. Now, if we could," he said, "Well, gentlemen, I can't let you do that, but I will let you go to 50. That would be an extension. Then after you've done that, we'll talk." So I said, "Well, thank you very much, sir. We'll do that." So we went to 50 trips, which was done very quickly. And you can see by the dates there that...
That's like 8 December.
Yeah, if you see the list, you can see the break in it between... I'll show you.
Yeah, 6 November and 11 November.
Yeah.
So you give you a couple days off.
Yeah. 6th of November, Paderborn.
Yeah.
29th of November, drawing flak from mine-laying aircraft. We do that up and down the canals where we got all kinds of flak, but we didn't get hit. And chased a doodlebug.
What's a doodlebug?
Flying bomb.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Didn't get it though, I guess. Eh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Ground strafing, intruder 5 train. Yeah, damage. Oh, this is Ardor. Damage in 88 and a Heinkel 111.
That's the one you were talking about earlier, where you.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So, what was the the anatomy of one of your trips for your intruder trip over a German airdrome? Like how you would obviously navigate to that airdrome, and then how high would you circle?
Okay.
Like you can tell us with that particular one.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned it briefly, but
okay. Philosophically, we were night intruders, so our job as a night intruder was to cover the air bases from which the German night fighters operated. Those that were sensitive to the bomber stream to the target and back. They're not going to send you down to almost to Switzerland if they're bombing Berlin. Yeah. So they get the night fighter airdromes that are close to the bomber stream's path, and we'd go for an hour and circle it and let them know for that hour that we are there, circling it. The German knew this. So the Germans would fly up their 88s and 190s and go up and hit our bomber stream and come back with no ammunition left and very little fuel sometimes, only to find out that we were there. They were so afraid of us that if they shot us down, it counted double.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So what they would often do is they'd try to go somewhere else and not get there.
Oh, so your presence alone would be disruptive.
Yes, that was it. So,
how high would you circle? Like,
well, I'd be anything from 500 feet up to 5,000.
500 feet over a German airfield at night.
Yes, circling around it. Up to
and
2,000.
Would they try and hit you with searchlights? Were they trying to find you?
Well, when you're down that low, I used to circle and go around, sometimes run the other way. Going at Arfdorf, Marks, and Varel, the time we got shot at 2 airplanes. I circled about 500 feet and went around it and so forth like that. And then Paul said, "Hey, there's a guy getting the green." So I went around this way, climbed up and down and followed him around. And he was silhouetted low enough by his own landing lights. They had big landing lights they used.
So he turned the lights.
That is like a day shot.
Yeah.
So I got a good shot with, it was a Ju-88, of cannon and machine gun all over the front and so forth, and the lights went right out. Then I never saw anything. So I went right across at ground level and then pulled up into the bloody night, and that's when I saw in the black the Heinkel 111 going. So I went up past it and came down right on my back and came down and got a squirt at the 111. And
so you're probably like 500 feet inverted over a German airfield at night.
Well, I was probably over 1,000 feet because I was climbing straight up and going pretty quickly.
But still.
But I was still
on your back.
Yeah, on my back, and I was able to come around and get a squirt at him and get some pieces breaking off. Then everything went black. So we turned and went away.
You got out of there.
But we still had our 2 500-pound bombs.
Okay.
So I went back, and we came back around 6,000 feet, very quietly, just a low cruise. The lights were back on again, and we headed down. And of course, up came the thing, and we were scooting. But my CO had told me about this.
So they're shooting at you at this point.
Yes. Yeah. So I gave them the 2 500-pound bombs in the nice runway, and screw off and go home.
Yeah, they're like, good night, Germans.
Yes, but believe it or not, in World War II, having flown in it, I never saw a corpse in World War II. Now, I saw lots of airplanes going down, of course, and some terrible accidents, but I never had that, but I smelt them when you're flying over near a bombing raid.
So, these escort to bombers, was that all during the day? You wouldn't escort bombers at night per se, would you? Because you can't even see them, right? So,
which one was that to?
Oh, that was over Bordeaux. That's the one you mentioned earlier. So you did one at the 4th of August, 44, and then the 5th. So you did it 2 days in a row. And I see your intruder missions, bombed airfield. So you would circle for a while, and then before leaving, you would drop a bomb on the airfield?
Well, we circled the aerodrome. We didn't bomb first. What we wanted to do was we wanted to try and shoot down some airplanes. We didn't want them to go and say the aerodrome is screwed up and have them go somewhere. We want them to come in and try and land. So we're down low, circling far enough out. Sometimes we'd be out of sight. And then go up and climb up. And as soon as we start climbing, we hear the engines going, increasing power. That off go the lights. So we didn't want to do that. So we got ourselves in a position like we did 50 trips. So we sort of got used to being there. And this could be not just up to the coast where you could sort of disappear to the North Sea. It could be right down in the middle of the Ruhr. You go to Wunstorf, turn right and come back to the back of the Ruhr. Or you go down to Stuttgart and Biblis and Oberohm and people like places like that. So
deep into Germany. Very deep into enemy territories.
Yes, yes. And we would go to Munich. Went to Munich, and that was a long.
That would be long. That's really first off.
So, but to get what you're getting down there is the trainers. So, but it wasn't very. I don't know how long the trip was to Munich. Cologne, Bonn, Kiel. It doesn't matter. Koblenz. Oh yeah, cool. 1st of September, ground strafing, Kiel, bombed road, and guns and searchlight. Return in the starboard engine.
Oh, so you lost an engine.
Yeah.
Was it shot or?
I don't.
Or just failed?
Don't think so. I'd have to look up that trip.
That's okay. So, you said you shot some trains too. That was obviously during the day, or were you shoot trains at night as well?
Night.
Oh, okay, that was at night.
This was all, yeah. We didn't go over enemy territory in daylight like the Spitz and so forth.
Okay.
We were night. But the thing is, Europe in moonlight is like daylight.
Okay.
I could go right down to the ground.
Well, and I'm sure you're with what you're talking about with your night vision, you must have been very adept at it.
Well, night vision is only a limited use of that facility because we wanted to be out where we could see. But if we could see, they can see. But I'd get to a point of going around and see, wait, there's a train over there. So I could just race down after that train. I never shot at a passenger train. But I always shot at the engine. If I was going to shoot at a passenger train, it would only be at the engine. But I shot at the freight train. One time, I hit a freight train, and the one right behind it, behind the engine, blew up, exploded, just like that. Yeah. So we did, I think, 15 or 16 trains. I just forget what the heck it was.
Now, when you attacked the train, would you attack it from the side? Would you attack it from the rear? Like, what was the
no, I'd straight from the side because you want to have the ability to spray where you want. You want to get the thing is, kill their steam, they stop.
Yeah, exactly.
You hit the engine, just a few bullets. No steam, no go.
I've seen videos of the boilers actually.
Oh yeah, that's a real big hit.
So when trains were well defended, I believe, right?
Well, they had a flat car at the back.
Okay.
So then we would do our, as I said, Paul, how would you like to win the Victoria Cross? No thanks.
Yeah, exactly.
Me too. We make one shot at a train or a plane,
and we're gone.
And then we're gone. So I was careful of that because the flat cars at the back, they're ready for you.
Yeah.
So I was clear. The best way to get a train is heading into a tunnel.
Okay.
And they get damaged inside the tunnel and screw up the tunnel.
Yeah.
Had a heck of a time getting everybody out or
just
everything.
Just everything up.
Yeah. Or put a bomb into the tunnel as he's coming through.
Oh, okay.
But that would be in Italy. I didn't do any of that. But we had the one trip where I was looking for, at night, moonlight, I was looking for trains up in the Schleswig-Holstein below Denmark. And this is where I came back in one engine. And it kept coming over this darn place called Husum. And they're shooting at me. And finally, it's like road rage. Road rage, and my navigator screaming at me. I whipped right over and my back came down, and I should have shot them all with the machine guns and cannons, and pulled up and straight ahead and bang, my starboard engine ran rough.
Oh, no.
So I feathered the prop very quickly, and we came home in one engine, all the way across the North Sea. But we did not know if the other engine oil supply had been compromised or what further damage there could be. So we thought, well, rather than go over and jump out over Germany, let's see how we do, see how the engine is running. We came back across the North Sea, got close to Holland, edged over a little closer, go in there if we wanted to jump out. Then we came back to large type, Cricket 3-4 identifying. We'd like to get across as quickly as possible. We're on one engine. So Roger Lodge type, and so do you want to go to Woodbridge? I said, no, I think we better go to base. You should go to Woodbridge with the damaged airplane. And we got close to the called King Cricket 3-4s. We're on one engine. We got permission to land, please. And they said, well, shouldn't you go to Woodbridge? I said, I don't think I've got enough fuel for that. And I'm damaged. So
Yeah.
I got in, but the SEAL wasn't very happy about that because he should have gone to Woodbridge.
Oh.
And I went through Woodbridge one time. We had some damage with the airplane. And I saw another Mosquito with a shell had gone up through the airplane, right through the Navigator.
Oh.
Blew him up through, you know. Oh, shit. Terrible things. But that was the horror of war. And I escaped all the horror of war by not being sheltered, but by the choices that I made. It doesn't what you're trying to get away with not doing what your job is. You try to do your job. But Ken Eastwood and Griff Rogers, who took my trip when I had the airplane accident, were always coming back with problems. And he was so keen, a very gentle guy, but he's always bosh, you know, again. This is so mad at them. And
So he's the type of guy who would circle back.
this is the kind of guy. He hit a factory one time, and the flames, I don't went up how high, but looking for places to shoot at and coming. And Bud Badley was another one. He went with me to Grove Aerodrome, always coming back on one engine. But you know, I did my job as a night intruder, but it stopped there, and I came back after doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And because I wanted to continue flying,
Yeah.
I wanted to finish my tour,
Mm-hmm.
but I still wanted to get as much flying as I could.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the Middle East because that would give me much more flying on the Mosquito,
Mm-hmm.
so that eventually when I got on squadron, I didn't know I wouldn't be getting on right away. I'd have more Mosquito operations.
No,
at the
that's
time.
very smart.
But it gave me enough stick handling, and I'd mess around low flying and up and down, right over a church one time, lower than the top of the spire. Another time, a kid sitting on the fence went right back and fell off the fence.
You know, it's a low buzz jump.
Oh,
when they- yeah,
God.
duck.
But I just had so much fun,
Yeah.
and they sort of humored me. I was sort of like not a teacher's pet, but just a tolerated young, enthusiastic airman.
Wow. So I'm just going through here. So you did mostly intruder. You did your day ranger where you shut up the JU-88s
Yeah.
on the ground in the radar station, and you were like a train magnet. Like there's one mission here, 1 November 44, Sachsenheim.
Yeah.
Intruder damaged 5 trains.
Yeah.
And one mission, you went after 5 trains.
Yeah, but you know, you see them. It's a simple job. Then you see another one. It's another simple
Yeah.
job, and I'd run out of ammunition. Of
Oh,
course,
wow.
you don't. Don't necessarily.
You guys are usually pretty low when you're coming after the trains, I assume.
Oh, at one time I remember pulling up Steve, and I thought I was going to hit the bank that it was going through. I must have been maybe 50 feet from it. And pulled
Wow.
up.
So would they have the time? Because I mean, Mosquito's so fast. You're flying low. It's night. Would they even have time to get to start shooting at you?
Not a bit.
No,
they didn't
really?
have any time, because not only that, I've probably got 4 pounds of manifold pressure there, and I'd be going, you know, maybe 300 miles an hour minimum.
Wow.
So when I'm shooting at those things,
So they wouldn't even have time to like flip the gun sights. up or
no.
anything.
My friend Bob Smith, who was a Spitfire pilot, said he used to throttle back and get in behind like that. I said, God, I would never have done
Oh
that.
yeah.
I didn't have that kind of guts.